Today, we're going to be doing something that people request of me all the time, and I always think is a little bit boring, but we're going to go for it. And so, in today's video, we're going to go over how we can use Codex to do a live scrape of a company website. Actually, we're going to do a government website, and it's not. I'm always afraid that I'm going to give away an API key or something crazy. And so we're going to scrape the SEC information just using Codex, and then we're going to host it on trigger.dev and connect it to a Supabase table so that we can get this information daily. You guys request this all the time, so let's jump in. I've not built this at all. I've never tried building this. I know it's possible, but let's just jump into the video. So in here, we have the SEC information. We want to scrape the filing type 144, and then we want to scrape the filing type file 4. And so what we want to do right now is you'll see that I have the... So whenever you're scraping something, you first want to see what's the same about it all the time and what's different. And I mean, this is actually feels a little bit like taking candy from a baby. So I know that this is going to work. But we want to get these 144, and I want the entity, and I want this person's name, and then I want what kind of filing they have in here as well. Nope, that's a bad example. See how this person has this common stock in here? I want all of that information as well too. Then the only other thing that we need to think about is we want to be able to scrape this data daily. So see how it says filed from 2026 March 1st to April 27th. So we're even going to change this to be April 30th. And this is all fine. And so you might not be able to see it, but the URL changes for the filtering here, which from a scraping perspective is going to help us tremendously. Because if I were to just change this to 02, see how we go from 2026 031, and then we go 2026 032. That's going to be really helpful. Lots of same information over here as well too. So first, whenever you're going to be building some kind of scraper, you just want to scope out your target for what you're looking at and what's the exact data that you want to get. And then you can just jump in and start prompting. And so we're literally just going to go over to the regular Codex app. You could use the Codex app to do this. You could use the Claude Code CLI. You could use the Codex CLI. It doesn't really matter. There's lots of ways to skin this cat in particular. I'm just using Codex mostly because it's just my daily driver right now, and I'm just liking it a lot. So anyway, we're in the Codex app here. I'm just going to literally use Whisperflow to do this. So Codex, I'm going to give you some links to some websites here, and I want us to be able to build a scraper that we are going to run this as a cron job every day to be able to get the information. Now, what I do want you to do is I want you to backfill all of the data from the past. See how it's filtered? The first one is filtered for April. And today's date is May 3rd. And then the second one, we want everything back from March until April 30th as well too. I do want you to backfill all of this data and create a Supabase table for the form 144 and for the form 4, separate Supabase tables. And I want you to then set up a cron job on trigger.dev to be able to pull this information every day as well too, and add the information into Supabase, and send me a Slack notification confirming that it ran successfully and how many more records we were able to pull in. In specific, for the form 144, I want the form and file, and I particularly want the filing entity / person. That is really important to me. And then if you see on the 144, that's a little bit of a link. And I would also like any of the information that you can pull from this link in here as well. That would be great too. And then on the form 4, I want the filing in the entity person. That is by far the most important part as well. And then anything that you can get on the form about what kind of stock they have and those kind of things, when you click on that, would also be really important as well too. And so let's create a plan to be able to get this done. Let's run it. Confirm with me what you can get. Make a local CSV file before you push this to Supabase, and then tell me the plan. And then let's make sure we deploy to trigger.dev. And then let's do a practice run on trigger.dev to just make sure that it actually adds data and those kind of things. Let it rip. And so now this is, I mean, I've never done this before, and I'm fairly certain that this is going to work. The only thing I would say is that if this does not work, this is a perfect thing that you can use OpenClaw for. OpenClaw would have a great use case for this because OpenClaw has the cron jobs. My only fear is that for some reason there's something about this website that hosting on trigger.dev might get kind of annoying. One of my favorite tools right now is called browser use. And if we just needed to attach an agent to browser use and then just let it agentically scrape the browser, we could do that as well too, but it probably won't be necessary. I'll shut up, and the next time you hear from me, it should basically executed by this point. So let's see. All right, and as you can see, it actually worked a ridiculously long time on this, and I don't really know what happened, but I never intervened. It worked for 2 hours on this, and I never had to intervene. I just went and got dinner, actually. But then you see the CSV file for SEC Form 4. We have all of this data, thousands and thousands of rows, which is what we expected. And then we have the Form 144 data. This should be not as big of a file. Yeah, but it's still thousands and thousands of rows. And so it was literally just as simple as that. Now it's saying, okay, let's do the SQL migration, which is going to create the Supabase tables. And then it is going to import them. And then it already deployed on trigger.dev, but it's going to rerun the trigger.dev deploy. And we're all set. So for those of you who are asking for live lead generation, Claude Code, Codex builds. This is it. And the reason why at the beginning of the video I was saying, I think this might be boring for you is because this is literally all I do is I just point to exactly what I wanted. And if it wasn't giving me exactly what I wanted, I would have asked it to open up a browser window and then I would have pointed to it inside of Codex instead too. So hope this was useful and I hope some people get started with this. And so now the end result is we're going to be able to scrape the SEC information every single day, get it into Supabase, pump it into a clay table, and we're going to be all set.